Candace.
And I'm Ripley.
And I'm John.
And this is Comicsplaining.
The show where it's Hulkamania, brother!
Oh my god, that was more than I was expecting.
Ripley's Hulk impression is spot on.
It's Hulkamania, alright.
Yeah. Okay, at first I thought you were saying that was my impression of the Incredible Hulk and not Hulk Hogan.
Although yeah.
And the Incredible Hulk will be played by Hulk Hogan.
Brother.
That would be
Randy
ideal.
Savage.
Yeah.
And he's going to say brother a lot. Why? Because
No, he's my brother!
It's right there on the cover.
Of course, we can't get into the cover just yet. But this is Hulkamania because we have three issues of Incredible Hulk for you today. Because I'm sure you've been wondering what Bruce Banner has been up to. And since this hiatus is practically sponsored by the Incredible Hulk, I think it's time we here at the Nabisco Incredible Hulk Radio Hour get back to the important things.
Well, it's been about 8 issues, so we gotta check back in with them.
Because who knows
what's up.
So what sad thing is Hulk doing this time?
Oh, he's up to all kinds of stuff.
Betty divorced the last guy and married a new guy.
In front of him.
Yeah.
Of course.
As you do.
Yeah.
Alright, so what happened last time with the X-Men?
Let's see. I remember the Avengers were there.
The Avengers were there.
They were practicing in their practice room, and then Thor came in and was like, guys, it's amazing, something happened, and they went out, and Pietro was on the Zoom call, and they were like, Pietro, you're not dead.
Which is a whole thing we can't get into.
And he was like, yeah, guys, I'm not dead. Also, I'm marrying Crystal from the Inhumans.
And Wanda decided to share her good news.
Yeah, what was that?
That she was with Vision now.
Yeah, and then Pietro got super pissed off because he didn't want his sister to date a robot.
Yeah, he got really robot racist. What was up with that?
And everyone else in the room was really awkward.
I mean, when when one of your co-workers, family members starts getting racist, it gets a little
and on the
awkward.
other end of the call, Crystal's just like, oh, maybe I should reconsider. Maybe I jumped into this a little too fast.
Maybe do Inhuman marriage laws have I don't know, grace period or
well, they're not married yet. They're just fiancés.
Right, but maybe they got a prenup or something.
Also, they're low on members, and they need a recruitment drive, and they were hoping Pietro was gonna come join them again. And then Black Panther was, like, tugging at his collar, because he's like, I'm gonna have to go back to Wakanda soon.
I actually got a bail, too. Oh, crap.
Yikes, this is awkward.
We're having a bad time at Avengers HQ, guys.
And then after Pietro hung up, suddenly the TV wall came to life and showed X Mansion completely destroyed.
And they got the most weird call that you could ever possibly get. Because someone has to be doing this.
Right.
It's like if you were running
phone call.
If you were running like a drone or a helicopter piloting or something like that.
And yet,
except it went inside the house, so helicopter's out on this.
And yet the Avengers never questioned that. Could this possibly be a trap?
Yeah, and it was like Professor X, and he was like,
"Save me!"
Like, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope. But they didn't know where the X-Mansion was, so they had to go out and find it first. And
guess it's not in the yellow pages.
Although I feel like Wanda should have known that, shouldn't she?
I'm not sure. I don't remember if they ever actually attacked the mansion while she was there. I'm not 100% on that. I was trying to remember it at the time, too, but I don't know.
So they did find it, but only after all of them had their own little dramas. Where Tony's heart is encased in iron.
He's loved many
good women.
Many a fine woman.
But never have I known love such as that between Wanda and the Vision.
Oh my god, you pretty much got it word for word.
Perhaps that is because his feelings are held in plastic, while mine are encased in iron.
Tony Stark, you extra bastard.
That's so much.
Anyway.
they fly off to Westchester.
So they
separate.
found it. they found it, and they went there, and they went in, and the house was destroyed, and all of the X-Men were defeated.
And it was a trap!
And they kind of split up to go find them, and then Wanda and Cap walked into the most obvious trap ever. And they were fighting Cerebro, and Cap had super strength that he didn't have before.
Yeah, which we're not going to explain, because
No.
that's apparently another weird Avengers thing.
Yeah. But then they got everyone out, and Iron Man had Angel.
Who isn't actually Angel?
Then once they got out of the house, suddenly rocks started flying at them.
Rocks!
And they did some fucking cartoon hijinks to get out of that. And then once they got to the Quinjet, or Avenjet, or whatever the fuck they're calling it at this point.
I think it was a Quinjet?
I think it was the Quinjet.
I think so. It was suddenly revealed that Angel was actually Magneto in Angel's clothes.
And nobody noticed!
Nobody noticed that he wasn't a teenager.
That this old man was hiding in a teenager's clothes.
How do you do, fellow kids?
Tony was too busy being angsty.
He was too busy moping over his inability to love like the robot has loved.
Exactly. So, there were dinosaurs.
Oh.
The Avengers fought some really good-looking dinosaurs.
But then Magneto shows off his real power.
His real power of mind
control. You know, the thing Magneto is known for.
So he took Captain America, Iron Man, Wanda, and all of the X-Men, and he took them in the Quinjet and got away.
And he got very creepy on Wanda.
Yeah, he did. I still question why he didn't take Thor, but whatever.
Because Thor's blood doesn't have iron in it.
I know.
He can't blood
We
bend
established
Thor.
this. We established this.
He can't blood bend
This
Thor.
absolute canon.
This absolute
He can't blood bend Thor or Vision, because they don't have... Well, I don't even know if Vision has blood, and Thor's blood...
His feelings are encased in plastic.
Yes, and Magneto's Magneto power doesn't work on plastic.
The
Exactly.
modern magic of Tupperware man.
Yeah, so Magneto got away and he was a super creep. But he had mind control because he could control the iron in your blood, which gave him mind control for some reason.
Yes, blood
And
bending.
also he had the Pied Piper from the Savage Lands with him. And that's where the dinosaurs came from. I'm trying to
Okay, I know how
say
this
this
one...
as fast as I can.
I know how this part ends. Vision puts his brain inside the Pied Piper
Yeah!
and controls the Pied Piper by being half-phased with his brain.
Yeah, but before that, Black Widow and Daredevil were there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Black Widow and
Because
Daredevil.
when the Avengers can't handle shit, those are the guys you need.
And
You
they're...
guys have also skipped the Atomic Energy Commission.
They don't matter.
T-Man was there.
Oh yeah, T-Man was there.
The
Our
whole,
favorite hero.
the whole thing they were doing was Magneto wanted to turn everybody into mutants, and so he was going to mind control all the Avengers and X-Men into making the Atomic Energy Commission tell him how to do that.
Yeah.
And
Which
then-
is a thing that can happen.
Sure.
Yes. But we also moved on to another comic after that. The Human Torch was just minding his
Oh! When all of a sudden, a bunch of guys who were up to no good started making trouble in his neighborhood.
business. Got one little fight, my mom got scared.
So anyway,
And so we got a copyright strike.
From the Prince of Bel-Air.
The Human Torch and Iceman fought a guy who had fire and ice powers. That's all you need to know.
Yeah, it was really unimportant. There was
And
a
bad.
superhero misunderstanding fight. At one point, the Human Torch made a lasso of fire, and then Bobby cut it
Made
with
it
ice scissors.
Yep. Ice scissors.
Just so many levels of wrong. But
I mean, that's after seeing a guy made of plastic meld his head into a human to
that
control
was wrong
him.
in a different way.
Yeah.
This
that
is
guy's-
just stupid wrong.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that guy's gonna need a lot of therapy to ever be okay again.
I don't think he's ever gonna
I
be okay.
don't think he's alive anymore.
Well, let's get to today's stuff. We're going to be starting off with Incredible Hulk 180 from July of 1974. Written by Len Wein, penciled by Herb Trimp, inked by Jack Abel, coloring by Christy Scheel, and letters by Artie Simek. We've got two new names here, Christy and Jack, so it's time for fun facts.
Give me a Jack fact.
I will. Jack worked for DC and Marvel both, inking Superman and Superfan books in the late 60s, early 70s, before moving over to Marvel, which is on track for where we are here. At first he used a pseudonym, Gary Michaels, which was fairly common practice at the time. If you were working for one company, you'd use pseudonyms a lot of the time working at other companies, so as not to anger the boss men over at DC or Marvel. A practice that I think is in its dying days at this point in comics, but I'm not 100% sure.
There was definitely beef in the Golden Age.
Yep. Well, for fun stuff, Neil Adams and another contemporary creator, Dick Giordano, opened a studio, and at that studio, our man Jack Abel rented space. Well, the guy was a baseball nut and eventually formed up a softball team of all the people there.
Okay.
I think that's cute. Christy Shield is a new female creator for us. She did a lot of coloring at this point, including a fairly lengthy run on Daredevil. But when digital coloring really started to take a foothold in the industry, she mostly started focusing on her paintings, mostly landscape works. They're nice. But fun fact time, she also went by Max Shield, mostly due to misunderstanding. Another creator, Dan Crespi, called her Max after she got a short haircut, and in tribute, after his passing, she nicknamed herself Max.
Aww.
She intended to stop calling herself that, after a month, but the name stuck.
Oh boy.
I would not be surprised if it sold better.
I mean, isn't Max Shield a badass sounding name, though?
It's got some good alliterative elements to it.
It's got a vibe.
Question, why are we reading Hulk?
It's just, that's the important thing. We've moved on. We're not doing the X-Men anymore. We're doing Hulk now.
This is a Hulk-only podcast.
Hulk only.
No
Strongest
Thor.
there is.
No Thor, no X-Men. Hulk strongest there is. Carry entire podcast.
Oh, I mean, eventually, there's going to be a whole planet of them.
That's what I've heard. I heard it happened. I heard that happened.
Twice.
Yes. But all of this aside, we still can't get into the issue just yet. A content warning on cannibalism from this point forward, because we have to talk about Wendigos. This is the only time that I will do this in great depth, because it's a lot of time to get into every time. So if you've been referred here from a later episode, hi! Wendigos are a creature from some tribes of Native American and First Nations people. Now, keep in mind that through this, I am whiter than a fluffy cloud on a summer day. When white people came to the Americas and almost immediately started doing their white people thing, forcibly displacing and relocating indigenous communities, a lot of these tribes, actually fairly close to the area where we live, that area kind of Ontario, Quebec, the Great Lakes region, a lot of tribes in that area have been kind of lumped into the general concept of being Algonquin due to sharing the Algonquin language. If I'm understanding correctly, when these people were displaced from their homes, it naturally led to a lot of starvation and suffering. I mean, the Great Lakes are considered, the Midwest in general is considered the breadbox of America. And so the idea of the Wendigo is very tied into that starvation in desperate times, giving into that hunger and the extreme selfishness and greed of preying on another person to sate that hunger. In researching this to make sure I get it right, I've run into a lot of opinions from both native people and non-native people alike on the Wendigo. It has made it difficult to get a clear picture, but I've done my best. Some people say you shouldn't even say Wendigos.
I've seen that.
Some people say that belief is actually attributed to skinwalkers, and white people are falsely applying it to Wendigos too. Some people say don't use Wendigos. Some people say use them, but respect the context that they belong in. Marvel really didn't. They tried a little bit. Wendigo in actual lore versus bastardized cultural concepts more like Yeti are more humanist, giant, so racked with ravenous hunger that they've chewed their own lips off with hearts of ice. That's not what Marvel did, as you can see on the cover here. They made a big white Yeti with a weird man face.
Oh god. I just thought they made a white Hulk.
Nope.
No, he's furry.
Yeah. So, I urge anyone after this to do a little more research so you can get a little more context and not just conflate Marvel's version of the Wendigo with the figure of Algonquin lore. If any members from this actual community who aren't just white kids opening their mouths where they don't have any business doing so, if you have any corrections on any misunderstandings that you would like to make, no pressure. I may have made misunderstandings and I completely understand that. I would gladly pass on the correct information. Hit us up over at comicsplaining@gmail.com. That said, let's get into the issue.
These things are a product of their age.
They are a product of their age.
We don't condone it, but we do have to acknowledge it.
Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to read it at all.
Yeah. No kidding. We open on Hulk, right back from his vacation in Appalachia that he apparently took.
He has vacations?
Apparently. He's thumbing down on some poor upstate New York farmer's fence, smashing it to bits right in front of the poor man.
And his horses!
Those poor horses.
The horses correctly read the room and bolt through the open fence, because the Hulk isn't the only man powered by rage at this point. The farmer, apparently already a man known for his quick-fire temper, is spitting mad, and he stomps across the field. He's gonna tear this guy a new asshole, Hulk be damned.
Good luck with that.
And fair enough, Hulk doesn't really know how to handle this situation. This guy isn't attacking him with guns, he's not running away, he's just yelling at him.
And Hulk apologizes.
Yeah, he apologizes. He even offers to fix the fence for a hot second. I would love to see that, but he changes his mind. He's not just gonna let this guy yell at him, he eventually determines.
Oh, but it would be so much more fun to see Hulk making a fence.
I love that. We see something like that later on. Hulk thumbs off in search of solitude where no one can bother him, landing yet again in Canada.
Needs another vacation.
Yeah, It's a vacation from that stressful moment with the farmer.
Yeah.
So he goes to Canada, the least stressful place in the Marvel Universe.
Yeah, I kind of feel like he's enjoying Canada so much, maybe he should just settle. The population's more spread out in Canada than it is in the States. Build yourself a log cabin, Bruce. Find some peace.
And hope that the Canadian government never finds you because they're monsters up there.
Yep. But like you've said so many times, the Hulk is a tragedy, so peace is not what he finds.
No, he could never have peace.
Unbeknownst to Hulk, his arrival has not gone undetected. In a nearby Air Force facility constructed for just such an occasion, radars have locked on to a seemingly impossible flight pattern, at least for a plane in normal flight. Marvel Canada is nothing if not aggressive, and after the trouble Hulk made last time, they quickly mobilized their newly developed response. Hulk doesn't know anything about any of this. He just knows that there aren't people around, but there are puppies.
And Hulk loves puppies.
He loves puppies. He sees a bunch of big dogs, and like most people in his situation, immediately loses all coherence and rational thought in favor of puppies!
Dogs? There are big dogs here in Hulk's forest?
No, they're not dogs.
They're
big wolves.
Dogs attack Hulk? But why?
Yep, in the grasp of a lean winter, these wolves are terribly hungry. They've given in to Looney Tunes logic and see a giant green T-bone steak with legs.
That's not smart of them.
Delicious. Ravenous with hunger, the wolves leap at the Hulk with insatiable jaws. But he's the Hulk. He's very unhappy about having to fight off these dogs because Hulk loves animals, and especially, as he notes, dogs. He fights the wolves off, but by their number they manage to drive him back until he tumbles into a ravine, where they seize upon him en masse. But again, he's the Hulk. He flings them off of him before fending off the rest and sending them yelping off into the forest. Hulk then goes to sulk on a rock. We haven't checked in on the Hulk secondary cast yet, though, so let's go check in on the co-stars of our book.
Now it's other Hulk business.
Yep. Back at the Hulkbuster base, General Ross is getting a quick rundown on base activities from Colonel Armbruster, including a visit from the President to congratulate Major Talbot on some kind of escape from the Russians, and also to inspect the facilities. Yes, I believe we have President Gerald Ford at this point in time. Conversation then turns to Major Talbot's recovery from that thing with the Russians, and if he'll really be well enough to meet with the President. Right in front of Talbot.
That's rude.
Well, Glenn is aggravated with that, offended that they'd even consider letting him miss his opportunity to meet the President. Betty is for some reason at this meeting and quickly jumps to his elbow, urging him to calm down. He quickly lets the anger fade, and both Betty and T-Bolt reassure him that he's okay and he'll get his chance to meet the Commander-in-Chief. Armbruster is more concerned, and while that seems ominous, I don't know anything about any of that, but I do know a tiny bit about Hulk, so let's get back to him on his nature walk. He's not crabby about the puppies anymore, he's just walking through nature's beauty, when all of a sudden, he hears someone calling him. But when he turns to look, he's met with nothing. Still the voice calls, tormenting him, driving him forward. He smashes at the forest around him, hoping to stop the voice, but nothing works. At the other end of that voice, a distance away, calls a woman clad in horns and furs inside a stone house.
I was about to say, is that Loki?
Nope.
No.
This is not Loki.
Different Hornhead.
Nope. This is not Loki. Her name is Marie, but she's not alone here. Her companion, Georges, urges her not to continue with this, but she stands undeterred.
They sound like French Canadians with those names.
They are.
Oh no, this is the worst possible outcome.
He's found his way to Quebec.
He's doomed.
Some time ago, Marie's brother Paul went on a hunting trip with Georges and another friend, Henri Clouzot, when something went wrong. She doesn't elaborate on what led to the extreme hunger that led Paul to eat human flesh and thus transform himself into a Wendigo. But since he's the Wendigo and Georges is here, I think I have an inkling what happened to poor Henri. The absolute worst choice of noise in this moment.
That wasn't even intentional.
And because of this, and the debt that she holds Georges to, she's brought him here to cure her brother. He protests that the act is inhuman, but she's unmoved. Instead, she leads him to 2 stone beds inside the cave. Ever since her brother's transformation, she has sought through witchcraft and dark arts the ability to restore her brother's humanity. She seeks to transfer the curse of the Wendigo onto another. Again, Georges protests, but Marie insists that her intended recipient already lives a cursed life.
Oh boy.
Yep.
Oh, this is fun.
Even now, she points out, the Hulk enters the clearing. It's too late because he has come. Hulk sees the hut and, curious, approaches. Maybe that's where the voice came from, and he's none too happy with the voice.
You know, historically, Hulk is vulnerable to magic.
He is indeed. Despite a moment's hesitation, the Hulk enters the home, inspecting the inhabitants. They seem familiar, and Marie encourages him to remember. After a long moment's thought, he remembers them. Marie Cartier and Georges Baptiste, apparently once good friends. Reassured, he backs down and has a meal at their table. Hungrily, he scarfs down the food, but by the midpoint of the meal, he starts to feel urgently sleepy. Marie leads him away to the stone beds, helping him to lay down atop one, drugged into a soporific sleep. Georges is disgusted by Marie's betrayal of the Hulk's trust, but her love for her brother would allow her even this.
Picture of Hulk is...
Broth smells good, but Hulk isn't hungry anymore. Maybe broth doesn't smell so good.
Oh my god.
Hulk just being polite.
Picture of him.
Marie Cartier then returns to her witch's brews and incantations, chants calling off across the wild landscape, calling something forth. But as she toils, she fails to notice the Hulk surfacing from the waters of slumber. He's awake and apparently hungry again.
He's the Hulk! You can't just give him a little bit of food.
And so he gets up from the bed. Still, Georges pleads for Marie to turn back, to think of Paul's conscience, even if this should work. Could he live with this? She asks Georges to instead ask Paul, as suddenly he stands silhouetted in the door of the cave, the Wendigo. The Hulk, awake from his sleep, notices the Wendigo, recognizing it from a past battle. He's not too happy to see Wentz.
Oh wow, these are all actually Hulk characters.
Outraged, he steps into the main room, yelling at the Wendigo to leave or be smashed. We're really in it now, aren't we, Georges? Well, the Wendigo doesn't leave, so it's tick-tock, smash a clock. His ferocious strike begins to topple the stone hovel, and Marie and Georges scramble for the exit.
Whoom!
Whoom!
Boom!
They escape by the skins of their teeth as the Wendigo and the Hulk begin to tussle in earnest. Wendigo whomps him one fierce, but Hulk seizes a giant boulder.
The battle of the century.
The boulder only smashes to bits around the Wendigo. They tear the landscape around them to pieces, carpets of earth torn asunder and trees used as giant bats. You may be wondering why we're reading this here at page 18 of the story. Again and again, the Hulk and the Wendigo clash. Blow met with blow, until suddenly, a gruff voice calls from the ridge. All right, you freaks, just hold it!
There he is.
If you want to tangle with someone, why not try your luck against the Wolverine?
There he is. You weren't quick enough. I'm too
You were
fast
not.
of a
I
reader.
know.
As you were hovering on that page. I was literally about to go.
You should have.
Unfortunately,
I meant to pause before it instead of after.
I saw the Canadians refer to Weapon X, and
I know, I was
only
too
one
slow.
way.
They were agonizing over how to keep this from you.
I didn't mark it well enough on my script
Yeah.
when I needed to do that, so I was already fucked. We'll follow along on this, too. Incredible Hulk 181 from July of 1974.
So does that answer your question about why we're reading the
Are
whole...
you telling
I think
me
it does.
that Wolverine was originally a Hulk character?
Yeah,
Wolverine
a Hulk villain, in fact.
originated... he's more of a Hulk antagonist. Yeah. But then most Hulk villains or many Hulk villains are just Hulk antagonists.
I mean, they're just people who make Hulk angry.
I mean, there are plenty of people who are actually Hulk villains.
True. But there are a lot of people who just make Hulk angry.
Yep. That's just how he be. It is written by Len Wein, penciled by Herb Trimp, inked by Jack Abel, colored by Glynis Wein, and lettered by Artie Simek. Sorry?
So I gotta know, is he a mutant right now? Is Wolverine a mutant?
Yes.
So they created him as a mutant from the get-go.
Correct. He's here, the world's first and greatest Canadian superhero.
Oh no!
Wolverine pounces into the embroiled battle, knocking the combatants apart before pouncing onto Hulk's back. He's here on the behalf of the Canadian government, who want the Hulk fucking gone.
Okay, what year is this?
1974.
Wow. His ugly-ass yellow outfit hasn't changed nearly as much as I thought.
It's changed plenty.
The face part is very...
Yes.
Very different.
He's got those Jetsons, arm things.
Yep, well, he jumps onto Hulk's back. He's here on behalf of the government who want the Hulk gone. I guess the Wendigo is fine. He's a Canadian national.
This is just how the Quebecois are.
Hulk isn't going to take this lying down, though, and he reaches back to grab Wolverine, but Badger Man leaps away because moving is the thing I do best. Keep that in mind.
No,
the best thing he does
No, it's not.
is the best at moving.
No.
I'm the best at what I do, but what I do isn't very nice.
Moving. Juking and jiving.
He likes to move it.
Ow,
He dances.
I hurt my neck again.
Maybe that's the problem. He just dances like a Republican senator.
He likes to move it.
Swear to God, the 2008 fucking GOP National Committee. You watch these motherfuckers try to dance. Holy shit, they can't dance worth a single fuck. Well, Hulk hates Spandex Man bouncing around like rabbit. Wolverine takes offense to that. Like a Wolverine, thank you very much.
Yeah, whatever you say, Rabbit Man.
But since he's not having a great time with the Hulk, he decides to turn his claws on the Wendigo. Guess the government doesn't like him either. Wolverine's having a much better time with Wendigo, though, so he decides that that's what he's doing now, pressing his advantage and knocking the Wendigo over the cliff with Wolvie in hot pursuit.
I'm sorry, is Wendigo saying his name like a Pokemon?
Yes,
Yes.
he has been.
He does that, he just...
You might not have noticed in the
I
speed
didn't
we were moving,
notice.
but that's what he's been doing.
Yep.
Okay,
He's
great.
been doing that the whole time.
I'm so glad.
It's Wendigo!
He says his name like he's a Pokemon.
Who's that Pokemon? It's cultural appropriation.
That's multiple kinds of racist, guys. The nose.
Oh, yeah.
Like, look at that nose. We're being multiple levels.
I don't think that's what they're going for.
I know, but...
It's iffy.
It's not a hard read now.
Hulk's fucking baffled. He was just fighting this wild little dude, but he's now fighting the Wendigo, but the Hulk was fighting the Wendigo, so, like, we're totally bros now, right? After taking a few minutes to figure out that quandary, he literally jumps back into the fight.
He had to figure out if the enemy of his enemy was his friend.
With the power of friendship, Hulk makes a flying leap kick into the fight, knocking the Wendigo askew. To Wolverine's bafflement, Hulk starts yelling something about how strong he and his friend are, but Wolverine decides to roll with it. Sure, buddy, we're pals. He restrains the Wendigo long enough for the Hulk to get a good grab on him. Pretty a good impromptu tag team here.
What a Wolverine team-up.
Hulk chunks Wendy through numerous trees, but he's still up, and so Wolverine leaps after him, claws hitting home with a thwunk as they sink home into the Wendigo's chest.
Ooh.
Yeah, this Hulk can be kind of brutal.
The Wendigo lies still, but Wolverine insists that no, he's apparently immortal and quite alive. Hulk takes a moment to look over the scene with his new friend. when to his astonishment, his friend now turns his fightiness on him once more.
Oh no, you made a mistake, Mr. Wolverine.
Now Hulk is fucking pissed.
Yeah.
From the edge of the clearing, Marie and George watch the brawl. George is even more clearly trying to make his point clear of the damage she's wrought, potentially even killing Paul, but she's well aware that the Wendigo can't be harmed, and so Wolverine and the Hulk just knocked him out for them without any trouble. They dragged the now unconscious Wendigo into the ruins of the house, laying him atop one of the stone beds within, even as the battle still rages outside. Back at the Air Force Base, several officers are in discussion over the Hulk situation. They're considering if maybe they shouldn't have sent Wolverine alone like that, because they haven't heard anything back from Weapon X.
Wait, are you telling me that Weapon X is run by the Canadian Air Force?
I think the Canadian military in general, but I guess the Air Force does have use of him here.
Okay.
But the most enthusiastic of them mentions, the government has spent a great deal of time, effort, and money developing that mutant's natural born speed, strength, and savagery into the skills of a professional warrior, And despite the few kinks still remaining in his psychological makeup, he thinks they've done a pretty good job, but he agrees that should the Wolverine fail to take down the Hulk in the 6 hours he asked, he'll send in a specially formed team of crack commandos to finish the Hulk off. Hulk and the Wolverine still brawl. Weapon X is starting to get really annoyed at Hulk's unstoppability as the fight continues.
My dude, he's the strongest there is.
Hulk's strongest there is. But up above, Marie Cartier could not be happier. The sun and the breeze are perfect for the spell. Everything is falling into place. And so the young witch resumes spellcasting, placing both Hulk and Wolverine under a spell of subjugation. AKA, she makes sleeping gas and lets the breeze carry it where they're fighting.
Oh, okay.
Fantastic.
Hey, Canadian government, I don't think you're getting, what you paid for.
When they lie still on the ground, Marie and George feel safe enough to approach. They crouch at the side of the Hulk, readying to carry him inside for the ritual, but before their eyes, they witness a transformation. The green behemoth begins to shrink back, the grain draining from his flesh until only a man in baggy purple shorts exists. That staggers Marie only for a moment, before she insists that it's okay and they can still do this. But this is George's line in the sand. He won't condemn an innocent man to this fate. She calls after him, invoking his debt, but he won't hear it.
Why not use the guy in the yellow spandex?
He's not living a cursed life. She calls after him, invoking his debt, but he won't hear it. Once out of sight, George takes a moment to collect himself and decide what to do next. He thinks of the ill-fated hunting trip, and his responsibility to his friend. He thinks of Marie's torment over her brother's fate. He thinks of her future, still wrought in continuing obsession. There's only one answer, only one way to balance the scales. And so George re-enters the hut. Team Hulk has got a really good way of managing tragedy.
Yeah, also, I mean, this is just 2 panels.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Hulk is something.
This has got emotional resonance here.
Yeah. When a Hulk book is firing on all cylinders.
Outside, Marie wraps Wolverine in chains to keep him from interfering with what she must do. Only then can she focus on dragging Bruce Banner back to the hovel. But as she does, the green begins to leak once more into his skin, as the Hulk rises once more to consciousness. He's recognized the girl's betrayal, and he's not happy.
Well, yeah, when your friends betray you
Absolutely
get mad.
not. He's all riled up and ready to smash when he spots the chained-up Wolverine trying to break free of his bonds, and decides to instead smash the little man. Hulk laughs at the fact that he can't get loose on his own and throws Wolverine on the ground, which does the trick for the chains. You might also think it would do something for Wolvie's enthusiasm to scrap, but no. Newly freed, he's raring and ready to go. Seeing a golden opportunity, Marie makes a break for the house.
That's probably a good idea.
Yeah. She manages to get away from the battle, but on entering the hut, is seized with horror. For before her eyes is the Wendigo. Marie shrieks, and it's enough to call the fight to a pause as both combatants turn in the direction of the scream. Hulk gets his senses back first, though, and he bops Wolverine on the head while he's distracted.
Oh my god.
Given that bop to the head is from the Hulk, that's all it takes to knock Wolverine to La La Land.
Yeah, that does it.
Inside, Marie is faced with the Wendigo. Though it doesn't attack her, she still doesn't understand. It gestures towards the bedchamber, and she peeks through the door. When Marie sees Paul awakening, as if from a dream, she knows what happened. But knowing doesn't undo the deed. She knows that Georges sacrificed himself for his friend, and she pleads to know why, but as the transformation progresses, Georges is no longer able to speak. For a brief moment before his sentience fades, Georges reveals that he did it because he loved Marie. And then he smashes his way through the wall, ignoring a perfectly good door, heading off once more into the forest.
Welcome to the tragedy that is Hulk.
I must return to the sea. Outside, Hulk watches the retreating form of the Wendigo before he hears sobs. Entering the remains of the little stone house, he sees Marie Cartier openly weeping as she takes everything fully into account. The Hulk knows none of this, but he knows pain, and so he clumsily just wraps an arm around her and lets her cry. In the letters page, we see a letter by, I think, future Marvel bullpen member Mary Jo Duffy. And she's very mad about some Christian allegories made in a recent issue of Hulk, so that happened.
Okay.
But enough of that, let's move on to the last part of our three-parter, Incredible Hulk 182, from September of 1974. What the fuck happened to August?
Good question.
Anyway, this one's written by Len Wein, penciled and inked by Herb Trimp, colors by Glynis Wein, and letters by John Costanza.
Power Man?
No. Oh no, this story's a lot. I'm not gonna spoil anything. I'll let y'all encounter a lot that is this story.
Is that the Wrecking Crew?
No.
No?
No, these are other prison...
Other guys who have the exact same fucking powers and are in prison?
Kind of. Not really the exact same powers. We'll get into it. When we come back to the story, Wolverine is upright again, but his 6 hours have elapsed and the Canadians are none too happy. Wolvie demands more time, but they demand they get his ass back in the chopper so the Special Forces guys can show him how it's done. Like, ouch. Imagine if they did pull it off, right? Ow. To the ego.
You know, they kill Hulk.
I'm the best there is at what I do, but what I do is moving, so that didn't really help with the Hulk. They proceed to drop a net on the Hulk. Amazing no one thought to do this one before now.
A net?
That was easy. Pat on the back, eh? Poutine and brewskis on me, boys.
This is what you need the Quebecois for.
No, wait, it doesn't work.
He smashed it.
Shockingly, after he was able to stop the Wendigo and the Wolverine at the same time, a net didn't do the job. Well, how about these much vaunted commandos we've been hearing so much about, eh?
Hulk does not like guns.
No. But sleeping gas works pretty well on Hulk, who literally, according to the text, has not figured out how to hold his breath.
Oh my god.
When he awakens, he finds himself in a dangling cage, suspended from the helicopter as they soar over the Quebec forest land. Well, they knew enough to use sleeping gas, but not enough to use Hulk-proof materials on the cage construction.
That good Canadian construction just can't stand up to the power of the Hulk.
Maybe if this was American wrought iron. So the Hulk tears through the bars like they're made of fucking tissue paper, easily leaping to freedom. He walks through the rest of the day and into the night, pausing when he hears music. Curious, he traces the melody to its source. A black man dressed like a cartoon hobo from the 1930s.
Oh my god.
Playing a harmonica in front of a campfire.
Okay.
When he turns to see Hulk, he's not scared or angry. He instead introduces himself as Crackajack Jackson.
Oh no.
And offers to give the Hulk a go at the harmonica. Embarrassed at having been caught peeking, Hulk makes to go, but Jackson, seeking some company, calls for the Hulk to return. Hulk does indeed come back, and eats the remainder of the man's beans. We get an important Hulk mythology fact here. Hulk likes beans.
What?
I'm so uncomfortable calling him Crackajack.
What is this?
Can we just call him Jack?
I'd like CJ.
Yeah.
I mean, his name is Jackson. He's got names.
I'm good with Jackson, too, because I call him Jackson actually quite a bit in this script. Crackajack is so uncomfortable.
I mean, this whole character is pretty uncomfortable so far.
He is.
This was out of its era by this point.
Yeah.
They did really good on the skin tone, though.
They
Yeah.
did.
Once
Yeah.
Marvel figured out how to color a black man again.
They
Yeah.
figured out how brown works.
Yes.
Indeed.
Very exciting.
And, well, it's not like they figured it out. They knew how to do brown. Look at that tree.
Oh, good. Oh, I never even thought, ow.
They draw brown.
Oy,
No.
never even thought about it that way. Ow.
They know Brown.
Let's cut away to two escaping convicts, handcuffed together and hoofing it through the wilderness. I'm just gonna have to read this because it's a lot. Somebody up in administration thought it would be funny to chain the two together on the road gang. Johnny Anvil and Hammer Jackson. A white who hates blacks and a black who hates everything, and whose hatred has now helped to affect their escape.
Oh no.
This issue is a lot.
Yeah.
The
pair bicker plenty as they wander through the night, but quickly something else catches their attention. A weird big-headed alien approaches the pair asking for something.
I don't think big-headed quite covers what this
No, it
thing
doesn't.
is.
This is malformed.
It's horrific.
He's a big dude with real big old titties.
And a head the size of...
A head looking like a
shape
fucking
A
pumpkin.
watermelon.
Of a watermelon.
Yeah.
And his mouth extends into his titties and doesn't have a lower jaw.
It's a lot. Well, we don't have to worry about him because Hammer Jackson immediately fires his purloined pistol, stolen from the road crew guard, over and over until all 5 chambers are empty.
Oh my god.
And hopefully it kills this thing.
The shots
Put it out of its fucking misery.
The shots all hit home, again and again striking the alien in the chest, but the alien does not fall.
These other angles do not make things better.
No, he has a flat head.
He does have a lower jaw now, though.
Yes.
He's still hideous.
He is very happy, though, because it seems that his race relies on absorbing metal, and old Hammer just gave him a pretty hefty dose of that.
Wow.
Why?
As a reward, he frees Hammer and Anvil of their shackles. Though not understanding the situation, he quickly replaces them with another chain, this time made of glowing gold. The pair aren't happy and furiously protest, but the alien explains that they've got it all wrong. This is no mere chain. This is an energy synthicon. And when used, it can stop anything in its wake. He urges the pair to run into a nearby tree to try it out. The chain between them glows fiercely as they rush headlong at the tree, and then it cuts through the trunk like it's nothing. After the alien leaves, the pair celebrate their bright lumberjack future, and they rush off into the night seeking revenge.
Back in the 1920s.
Yeah, revenge first, then lumberjacking. Yeah, back in the 1920s here. Back with our minstrel show. The night does eventually pass, and when dawn comes once more, CJ awakens to see his new companion already awake. Hulk wants more beans, but before beans, they've got to go catch breakfast. He and Hulk fish the day away on the banks of a river, talking as they go. CJ explains that his name is more of a stage name, and that once upon a time he used to travel Louisiana, playing honky-tonks to make a living. I still feel very uncomfortable calling him Crackerjack, so I'm not gonna call him that.
Fair.
Yeah.
I don't like that. This feels weird.
Very. So now he's headed home to visit his son, and Hulk agrees to keep him company on his journey.
Are they gonna ride the rails? What is this?
Is this man just walking through Canada?
I think he's in the States. They're in the States now. I don't know when that happened, but apparently Hulk just crossed national lines again. By the end of the night, they have beans again. I've never considered fishing for beans, but apparently it does work.
This panel's really pretty.
Yeah, it's really nice looking, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Good use of color.
Hulk doesn't know what forks are, and when offered one by Jackson to eat his beans with, he eats the metal and all.
Oh my god.
With the stick left behind, CJ begins teaching the Hulk how to spell his name. By the end of the night, Hulk and Jackson are close friends, with CJ finding a strange kinship in being told you're the wrong skin color.
Whew, boy.
Back at Hulkbuster Base, Colonel Armbruster is hard at work making preparations for the president's arrival. He's still got his reservations about letting Major Talbot see the president. He orders one of his subordinates to keep a close eye on Glenn and figure out what the hell is wrong with him. Back with Hulk and Jackson, they find the road ahead blocked by a police car. Hulk hangs back while Jackson approaches the state trooper to figure out what the blockade is for. The trooper explains that there's been trouble at the prison down the road, which doesn't reassure him any, as it seems his son Leroy is at the prison, because of course he is. Hulk is not going to have these puny men with guns stopping his new friend from seeing his son.
Of course not. He's Hulk.
So he stomps out of the woods and towards the trooper. The trooper threatens him to stay back or he'll shoot.
Uh-huh.
Which the Hulk doesn't take well. He never takes that well. He destroys the patrol car and knocks out the troopers, and then he and Jackson continue on their way. Finally, the pair stop once the prison is in sight. Hulk is confused, though, not understanding why Leroy would be in there. An ashamed Jackson explains that no, his boy is indeed at the prison. He feels certain now that Hulk knows he'll leave him. But Jackson is Hulk's friend, and if his friend needs inside the walls to see his boy, then by God he'll get there.
Hulk will do anything for his friends.
This is what I like about Hulk a lot of the time. He loves dogs, and if you're nice to him, he is a fucking ride or die.
He will move the earth for you if you are nice to him.
Loyal as a puppy dog if you're good to him.
And that's not necessarily an exaggeration about moving the earth.
No, not at all. Picking up his friend, Hulk makes a mighty leap towards the prison. What he finds at the other end of his journey, though, is not exactly what he expected. Because it seems that Hammer and Anvil have returned to get their revenge on the prison.
Oh, their names are Hammer and Anvil. How clever.
Hulk touches down, setting his precious cargo on his feet and bemoaning the chaos. How will his friend ever find his son like this? But it's all too easy. You may have noticed that Crackerjack and Hammer had the same name. That's not for no reason. Right at the middle of the chaos stands Leroy Hammer Jackson. CJ then just acts like this is normal visiting hours for a moment, delighting to just be able to see his son after so long. Leroy, though, is less happy. After a hard life without his father reliably in his life, always traveling the performing circuit instead of just being there for his son or even steadily monetarily supporting his family, but he's not gonna be like him, broke and eternally traveling without a home. He's gonna make his own money. CJ reaches out for his son, desperately trying to get him back, but his hand brushes against the golden chain, and in an instant, he's no more, dropping to the prison courtyard, stone cold dead.
Because Hulk can't have good things.
Hulk watches all of this happen. It takes him a moment to actually process what the fuck just happened. But once he does, he's enraged. He snarls angrily at Leroy about how he did this, but Hammer doubles down, not accepting being talked to that way. Anvil wants no part of this, but he's chained to Hammer, so he gets dragged along for the ride when Hulk rains down pain on the pair of them. Down but not out, the pair now want to challenge Hulk for his strongest there is belt.
Well, and they acknowledge that he's the strongest there is.
They do. Hulk is strongest there is. They try multiple tactics, like smashing in between the pair of them, which I'm not really sure why they're super strong now instead of just having laser handcuffs, which is kind of what I thought was going on, but okay. They also try slingshotting him around with their Synthicon. That doesn't work either. Hulk just pulls out his patented ground pound attack. This time actually a thing. Knocking Hammer and Anvil both off their feet. He lunges forward, seizing the tether between them and attempting to pull it apart. He immediately pulls back his hands as if he just touched a hot burner. Hammer and Anvil take advantage of the opportunity, wrapping the chain around Hulk's mighty neck and pulling. Hulk strains for breath against the force of both men pulling with all their might, but one image sticks in his vision as it begins to gray. CJ's lifeless form, crumpled in the dirt. And he is so furious over his friend's death that it gives him the second wind he needs, because the angrier he gets, the stronger he gets. He pulls and pulls and pulls, and finally not even the alien cuffs can withstand his fury, and he severs the Synthicon. The guards make to take all three down, but are stopped when the Hulk roars at them. He walks to Jackson's side, cradling him in his arms as he thooms back out of the prison. After a time, he finds a good place, digs his friend a grave, and then uses the skills that CJ taught him to carve him a tombstone, so as not to leave his grave unmarked. And on that, we close the episode.
Wow.
That's legitimately really sad.
I know! It's a really good ending for a really weird book.
Oh, God.
Like, this was dumb, but it's making me feel things.
There is pathos here.
Yeah.
How did they do That's a magic trick. How? And Wolverine was there in the very beginning.
Yeah.
All this and Wolverine, too.
Oh, God. Just like any fucking Marvel comic, Wolverine is there.
Okay, what do we have for ratings on this? Let's, I guess, start off with Hulk versus the Wendigo.
I mean, that
Part
was
one.
weird.
Because it's really like 3 different stories here, kind of.
2 out of 5 for the Wendigo.
Okay.
I mean, if it wasn't a Wendigo, I mean, I'd give that a straight 3 out of 5.
I'm gonna stick at 3 out of 5 and just try to consider them different entities.
You know,
It's a mess, but...
It's a mess, but
We are going to have to encounter them going forth, so...
It's a good book.
So that's that. How about once Wolverine gets involved?
I mean, Wolverine is not what makes that book.
No.
But oh my god, that's a 5 out of 5 book for me.
No, not this one.
No, the second one?
The second one?
One.
Just because Wolverine's there?
No, Wolverine doesn't make it.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
saying...
Why is it 5?
Why is it 5? I don't...
I thought it was okay.
Because of that ending.
The sadness of George.
The sadness of George. The sacrifice.
Okay, for that ending, I'll bump that up to a 3.
I'm like...
I was going to say 2 again.
Okay.
I'll move up half a star to 3.5.
I genuinely think I like Hulk.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
I've read a lot
liked a lot of the Hulk you read.
I've read a lot of Pax Hulk stuff, and it's been good, and Hulk?
If you're interested in Hulk, try some more Hulk.
I should.
Alright. That leaves us to the tale of Crackajack Jackson.
I don't know how to rate this thing. I don't.
Yeah, it's
messy, but...
It's messy, it's problematic, and oh my god, that ending...
It's so good, though.
It is.
I know, it's hard for me not to go at least a 4, just because the fucking ending. 4.
I can't give it a number. It's too complex of a book for me to
it's
boil it
messy.
down to a number. Yes, it is.
Hulk carving his fucking name in the tombstone.
That he made himself for this man who was nice to him.
Because, he made a point of saying a man ain't got nothing if he ain't got his name, so he made sure to remember his friend's name. Because I didn't mention that part, but it's very, very sad.
Of course he did that. It's...
Well, all that sadness out of the way, I guess we have Ms. Marvel to talk about.
Oh boy, that's a whole
Spoilers ahead, we're going to be talking about the finale of Ms. Marvel and the whole series in general. So if you haven't seen it, don't listen to this part.
Yes.
Or, if you haven't seen it and don't intend to, you're probably fine.
Right.
Let's start with one of the conundrums they had. This is the most modern thing they have adapted. Period.
Yeah.
There are some things that are pretty modern. Jessica Jones, theoretically, the Guardians of the Galaxy. That's complicated mess.
The God Butcher story is only like a decade old.
True. But Thor's
very old, yes.
But, so Miss Marvel starts with, well, it also leads to the next problem. Kamala Khan does not have a lot of villains.
Yeah.
And the next problem is that one of the first major things is Civil War II.
Ugh.
Hey, yeah, it's a dumpster fire, but if you only see it through Miss Marvel, it's a good read.
Okay.
So that all leads to, what the hell do you make a TV show about? And, on top of...
Genies.
On top of the fact that we don't have the Inhumans, because that's not a thing we want to... even MCU decided, pass.
And they decided they can't go back to fucking Hawaii anymore because...
they've been forcibly evicted from Hawaii.
Like, we can't use Hawaii in anything anymore, guys.
Nope.
We've salt the earth, boys.
So what did they do? Well, weirdly, too much. With the amount of plot in that thing, I kept on thinking, this could use more episodes.
I found it all satisfactorily paced and wrapped up.
But I feel like, if it had 10 or 12...
Then we would have a fucking Defender situation and I'd be pulling out my fucking hair.
I don't know, how many episodes did the first season of Jessica Jones have?
Too many.
You think?
Too many.
They all had too many. I think they all had 12.
The Netflix shows were all a little bit too long.
They were a little bloated in the middle.
No, I definitely, before the finale, I was definitely thinking this is too much to wrap up, but then the finale wrapped it all up just fine.
I mean,
so.
yeah. Still, Jin, and a mutation.
Oh yeah, Kamala Khan, the MCU's
first mutant.
False.
I know, Professor X.
Okay, the MCU Universe 616.
Fuck off and die.
First mutant.
Iman Vellani herself has said that is not true.
And,
damn right.
And she is, apparently the biggest Miss Marvel fan.
Yeah, they picked her perfectly.
That's adorable.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's apparently argued with Kevin Feige about the
I
freaking
love
universe
that.
number.
God, that's excellent. I like, this is really out of nowhere, but I really like Amir in this.
Amir was great.
And, like, the actor choices and the work they had to do was excellent.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked getting into Kamala's relationship with her mom. I also found it interesting. I like the idea that this whole dynasty, this whole succession of power comes from the mom's side of the family.
Well,
Because women aren't necessarily always treated with as much respect as they should be in a lot of South Asian...
or in
Southeast-
comics.
Yeah, South Asian countries.
Like, this is a problem in in comics as well.
I liked that their answer to getting rid of the Inhumans was to explore Kamala's cultural heritage more.
My only complaint is they made the bangle a MacGuffin.
Bangle did some shit.
It did, but everyone had to have it.
I think there was mostly just one group of people who had
Okay,
to have it.
okay, one group of people who were one of the 3 villains in the thing.
Yeah.
Which, okay, seriously, I get why the other Jinn wanted it.
Mm-hmm.
But what is... God, what are they called?
Damage control.
Yeah, what is damage control even doing at all? I am so...
Being racist.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck is up with damage control. That aspect of the story I didn't really...
I haven't-
damage control didn't click super well.
I can see where it was useful in certain scenes, but as a whole, mostly just a distracting concept.
Yeah, damage control, why are you here? For most of what was happening, the local police would have been fine.
I do think that the Jin story got wrapped up very suddenly.
Yeah.
And then the last episode was all about damage control.
And-
so if anything I could do without damage control, to
Yeah.
be honest.
I personally find it interesting that they didn't wrap up Kamran. He was an Inhuman in the comics. He worked for a bad guy. He was a bad guy. Kamala had a crush until she discovered that he was
A bad guy.
A bad guy.
and that was the end of it.
Well, you gotta leave something for season 2.
Yeah,
Sure.
I have no idea what they're good. I mean, there's gonna be a season 2.
I mean, I like Kamran better in
There's
the
more.
show.
There's more
He's
to
more
him.
complex.
Well, that's because the original wasn't.
I know.
A lot of them are. That's one of the things I like about Amir
Mm-hmm.
more.
Amir in the comics is kind of a caricature almost.
He's a foil.
Yeah.
He's a foil for Kamala to be compared to.
I love seeing him involved in shenanigans.
Yeah.
I love seeing him being a brother in addition to his piety. I love seeing him kind of coming to bat from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fast-moving show, and it makes me wonder more and more. Champions?
See, something I thought was when they started talking about this is what happens when the wrong people get powers, kids, if they might not be going to a, fucking thing. Outlawed.
So, here's the thing. From what I've heard, it sounds like there's a very good chance the next Thor movie is going to be doing stuff that would probably have Amadeus Cho in it.
Not to interrupt, but like the timeline of the MCU is getting really mixed up because it feels like they're going for both Young Avengers and Champions at the same time, like setting up both of them at once.
It is a mess. And it's a mess because you have characters who were created in the 60s and 70s, and now we have characters who are brand new.
Yeah, and then in between you have like Kate Bishop and
Mm-hmm. Like Captain Marvel, the original Miss Marvel, actually, I don't even know. I don't know exactly her.
Carol was the
Carol's-
original Ms. Marvel,
What?
I believe, yes.
yeah.
There's been others.
Yes.
It's complicated.
There have.
Because of course it's complicated. But she's from. She was created in '77.
Oh, you did research.
Yeah, I did research.
Somebody Googled.
I want to say Moon Knight '75. I was trying to
Wow,
find.
he looks good for his age.
No,
Do you moisturize?
it's Khonshu. He's very good at this. But what I'm
Maybe
saying,
he's born with it.
what
Maybe
I'm
it's Khonshu.
What I'm saying is, in a little over a decade, they've shoved more than half a century's worth of stories
Yeah.
in, and some of it has been good, and some of it could kind of
And some of it is dated.
Yeah. There's always we're never going to run out of stories, but you might run out of villains. So, I don't know.
That's when you revive someone. That's the comic book way.
Now, this is what the DC shows on, God, what's our channel 50 called?
UPN.
Not anymore.
CW.
Yes, CW. This is what the
UPN.
I haven't heard anyone fucking refer to Channel 50 by Channel 50 since UPN.
UPN was what they used to call it
the
in
United
the 90s.
Paramount Network.
God.
We're old, okay? But, so, the CW, with its superhero shows, they would do that, or they just wouldn't kill them. They'd have these villains, they'd come back, and once they died, hey, we've got a time travel show.
Consider it looks like we're going for a Secret Wars kind of universe smushing.
Oh, God.
You could bring back any number of different alternated copies of the villains to fix the mistakes you've made in the past, we did with fucking Jamie Foxx.
Oh, God, that's what they're gonna do. They're gonna use Secret Wars to undead a bunch of bad guys.
That's true.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
They should use that to bring us Kid Loki and do a Kid Loki show.
They should let Chris Eccleston be Male Keith, but better.
Better.
But let Chris Eccleston do what he can do,
Act. Wear a leather jacket.
Yeah, that's what he does best.
But
I'm the best at what I do, but what I do isn't very nice.
And
that was a terrible noise.
But at the very
Why is that your noise for putting on a leather jacket?
Zoop.
No, it was.
But
like you're putting on like a second skin that's all looped up.
Oh no! What have you done? What have you done?
Like instead he's wearing a leather catsuit.
Then why is it slurp?
It slurps. But
what if Venom made a slurp sound?
Okay, I just want you to know that I'm currently reading some Venom stuff because apparently the time-displaced X-Men got involved in Venom stuff.
They sure did. This is what happens when, and we'll see this in the near future too, when you write multiple books, sometimes you just gotta cross them over in weird ways. This happens a lot with Claremont and the X-Men.
Oh no, what else does he write?
Ms. Marvel, Iron Fist.
So Miss Marvel, that's how
Spider-Woman.
Oh boy.
I don't know if he's the original creator of any of these, but he made decent runs on all.
But that explains the Miss Marvel involvement with Rogue.
Yep. Yes, it does. Also, guys, we're not covering Beast joining the Avengers. He just does at this point. It's not a good book, and I'm not reading it. Dropping this in the middle of the Marvel discussion.
Out of tune.
So, one of the things that strikes me about Miss Marvel is, well, Captain Marvel was not that important to the MCU in comparison. It's not part of the bedrock. They founded the...
They gotta be lukewarm on it because everybody was really gross.
Yeah.
See, but...
It's bad fucking business if you lean into Captain Marvel.
Yeah, these days, Miss Marvel is... I'm gonna go out on a limb and say one of the more successful recent series.
Yeah?
Yeah, for sure.
And they'd be dumb not to make a Miss Marvel show.
Well, they did.
And yeah, they'd have been dumb not to go for it. That's why she's like the most recently created character to head a show.
So overall,
no, we're not talking about a big thing we skipped over. The fact that Ms. Marvel is now a mutant.
Oh, yeah.
Which I am absolutely fine with. They never really did all that much with her inhumanness anyway.
Big L for the Inhumans fans.
Yeah.
The truth is, the Inhuman stuff almost never mattered, and it was bad.
One of the two likable
Being
Inhumans.
an Inhumans fan, also a big L.
There's only one...
We're watching Inhumans right now.
There's only
we
one
started
book.
watching Inhumans.
There's only one series where Miss Marvel being an Inhuman is fun at all. And that is a team up with with the only other interesting Inhumans that exist at that point.
Daisy?
Yes, Daisy.
Good. What other ones are interesting? That's the only one I have.
Moon Girl.
Okay, Moon Girl's alright, yeah, she's cute.
Karnak.
Karnak, okay, I can kind of get with Karnak.
Okay, that one guy who catches
he's
on
a funky
fire.
little man.
The one,
Fireman!
the Inhuman who... And for some reason...
I know who you mean, because he was in fucking IVX, but I don't know what his bitch-ass name is.
And for some reason, Magic, who isn't an Inhuman, but she ends up part of the team-up.
Our token mutant friend.
Yes, their token mutant friend. The last issue is kind of sweet. Moon Girl says it's her birthday to everyone, and they all get her cakes. It's not her birthday, but they all get her cakes.
That's adorable.
Magic steals a couple.
That's fine.
I know, but, like...
In Soviet Russia, cake steals you.
Magic stole 30 cakes. That's
Yeah.
3 tens, and that's terrible.
Do you think the French have a really fun time with 420?
God.
So anyway, what was your overall impression of the Ms. Marvel show?
I liked it.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's fun.
I agree.
I'm stopping rating these things because I always come away with my first impression being, that was fun!
I have a weird feeling about that show. Like, I just feels like it could have been longer.
I don't want it longer.
I think you just wanted to see her more.
Well,
Yeah.
Maybe.
Because you love her.
Shut up.
I think that it would have harmed having a good, coherent season.
Maybe.
I think the story was wrapped up in good time.
Okay, how about this? Remove damage control from the entire plot and focus a little.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Either make it longer to make each of the sections of plot make more sense individually, or remove one of the weird, the most randomly antagonistic side of this thing.
Poor Bruno.
Poor Bruno.
Oh.
Just over and over and over again, getting his heart ripped out.
I mean,
Oh.
the comic's only about this as a series. It's only about a decade old. The different issues and series of Ms.
I
Marvel.
just feel bad for him sticking around with his heart getting trampled
I
on.
know.
I mean, that's just how Bruno lives.
I know. I love Bruno. I still
That's
wish
how
he was
gets
a soft
different
boy.
girlfriend.
Yeah.
And even after, he's still... There's a torch.
Yeah.
Boy,
Well-
never quite got over.
Let's move us on to our closing shit. Please don't give me your being offended about Wendigos. I can't control this shit. I've done the best I can. If you are someone from a community of a tribe who has something to do with this, has a fucking dog in this fight, feel free to tell me. If I got something wrong, I would be happy to correct the record. If you have any other thoughts, maybe you have some thoughts on Hulk and Pathos, maybe you have some thoughts on Ms. Marvel, all of you various people that I've just named here, go ahead, send us an email over at comicsplaining@gmail.com. You can also hit us up over on our social media. We are on Tumblr, Twitter, and Facebook, Comicsplaining in all of those locations. If you'd like to see a video version of the show and behold Crackajack Jackson's clothing...
His very out-of-time clothing.
his visage, if I may. Go ahead. We have a YouTube version of the show where we put up video clips of the stuff we're talking about, and you too can cry at Jackson's fucking tombstone.
And it's surprisingly effective.
Like, subscribe, and smash that motherfucking bell button.
You lean into it, just lean into it.
If you'd like to support the show monetarily, we have a couple ways you can do that. Join us over at Patreon. Patrons get access to the show a day early. And we also have bonus content we put up there. We put up our first one with some thoughts between John and Candace on different Thor runs leading up to Thor Love and Thunder. So even if you've seen the movie now, it's still fun. You can also throw us a couple bucks over on Ko-fi, but no pressure. The biggest support you can do for us is listen. Maybe tell your friends. We'd appreciate that.
Leave a review.
Yep, rate and
Please.
review. But other than that, we're going to be back next week with Thor, and we look forward to talking to you then. Bye!
Bye.
Bye.